I choose Claire Whitlock. You're a mistake we have to keep paying for. My father said it quietly, almost kindly, right before he lifted his glass to toast Lauren's full ride to Stanford. The chandelier light caught on the rim of his watch as he smiled at my sister like she was the only person in the room. I was 19, my hands trembling around a water glass I could barely hold, my spine curved from the latest flare. And I remember thinking the pain in my joints was nothing compared to the way his words landed clean and final. I didn't make a scene. I never did. I simply set the glass down, wheeled backward from the table, and left the house I grew up in without a single person noticing until the front door clicked shut behind me. That night the sky was so clear the stars looked sharp enough to cut. I rolled down the sidewalk in the cold until my fingers went numb on the wheels. And I understood something I had spent 11 years trying not to understand. The real disease wasn't in my immune system. It was in the people who were supposed to love me. When I was 8, everything still felt possible. I could run until my lungs burned, climb the maple tree in the backyard, trade glitter gel pens with my friends at recess. Then one October morning I woke up and my body felt like it had been filled with wet sand. My knees locked. My wrists throbbed. I told my mom I couldn't get out of bed, and she laughed, the way you laugh at a child who says the monster under the bed is real. You're fine, Claire. You just want to stay home and watch cartoons. A week later I collapsed in the cereal aisle at the grocery store. My legs simply stopped answering. People stepped around me like I was a spilled carton of milk. My father's face, when he finally came to pick me up, wasn't frightened, it was irritated. As if I had chosen that moment to embarrass him. That was the first time I saw the look I would see for the next decade, the tight mouth, the flicker of disgust, the silent calculation of how much this was going to cost. The diagnosis took months. Rheumatoid arthritis with overlapping myositis, aggressive juvenile onset, probable genetic trigger, possible environmental exposure. None of the doctors could agree on the exact spark, only that the fire was already raging. I heard words like degenerative, lifelong, pain management, and I watched my parents' faces harden with every syllable. Lauren, 2 years older, kept dancing on point, kept bringing home blue ribbons, kept being the daughter who never made anyone late for anything. By 10 I was using a cane. By 12, forearm crutches. By 15, most days a wheelchair. My bedroom became a medical supply closet. Ice packs, heating pads, pill bottles lined up like soldiers. Lauren's trophies moved into the living room cabinet where everyone could see them. My report cards, the ones with A's I earned while shaking so badly, I had to tape the pencil to my fingers, stayed folded in a drawer. I learned to disappear. I learned to apologize for needing help. I learned that if I cried too loudly, my mother would sigh and say, "Claire, you're exhausting everyone." I learned that love in our house was a finite resource, and I had used up my share just by continuing to breathe. There were good days when I could almost pretend. Days when the swelling went down and I could walk to the mailbox without help. On those days I would catch Lauren watching me from the kitchen window, her face unreadable. Once, when I was 14, I managed to make it to the backyard swing. She came out, sat on the grass, and said, "You look almost normal today." She meant it as a compliment. I smiled until she went back inside, then pressed my face into my sleeve so no one would hear me sob. I kept sketchbooks, hundreds of them. Charcoaled hands reaching for things they couldn't hold. Birds with broken wings still trying to fly. Faces with no mouths. My art teacher senior year told me I had a voice that hurts to listen to. I laughed, because it was the first time anyone had called anything about me a voice instead of a problem. The night they toasted Lauren and disinherited me, I went to Sarah's house. Sarah had been my lab partner in 8th grade, the only person who still texted me even after I stopped going to school in person. She opened the door in mismatched socks and said, "Took you long enough." She didn't ask questions that night. She just gave me the guest room with the slanted ceiling and the window that looked out over her mom's tomato plants, and let me cry until my ribs hurt worse than my joints. I stayed 3 weeks. I slept 14 hours a day. I stared at walls. I read my old medical records until the words blurred. And that's when I saw it. A single line buried in the initial consult notes. Symptoms onset 4 weeks after reported severe viral illness. Patient recalls ingesting homemade smoothie prepared by sibling contents unknown. Elevated cortisol metabolites detected. Possible iatrogenic trigger. Review medications in home. I remembered the smoothie. Pink, too sweet, tasting faintly of chalk. Lauren had brought it to me when I was home with that virus, grinning like she'd done something clever. "I made it special for you, Claire, bear. It'll make you strong." I drank it because she was proud of me. An hour later, I was vomiting so hard I saw stars. 2 weeks after that, the fatigue began. 4 weeks after that, I couldn't walk. I told myself it was crazy. 10-year-olds don't poison their sisters. 10-year-olds don't even know what steroids are. But the thought took root and grew thorns. I waited until I knew they were gone for the long weekend. Lauren had posted the obligatory family cabin Instagram carousel, all flannel shirts and forced laughter. I used the spare key they never bothered to take back. The house smelled exactly the same, lemon polish and my mother's perfume, and something metallic underneath, like fear. Lauren's room was a shrine. Perfectly aligned perfume bottles, color-coded planners, acceptance letters framed on the wall. I went straight for the closet. Behind a box labeled, "Middle School Memories," was a cloth-bound diary with a tiny brass lock long since broken. The handwriting was round and childish, hearts dotting every I. March 14, Claire is faking again. Mom spent all evening rubbing her legs. Nobody asked how my recital went. March 20, Uncle Paul left his gym bag here. He's always talking about how prednisone makes him huge. If Claire took some, she'd stop pretending to be sick, and everyone would see I'm better. On March 22, I crushed 2 pills into her strawberry banana smoothie. She only drank half before she threw up everywhere. Serves her right. April 9, Claire can't walk to the bathroom anymore. Mom cries all the time now. I didn't mean for this. I only wanted her to stop ruining everything. April 15, Dad found the empty blister pack. He asked if I did it. I said no. He looked relieved. He said, "We will never speak of this again, or I'll lose everything I've worked for." He hugged me and said I'm still his good girl. I read it 3 times. Then I sat on her carpet and laughed until I gagged. All those years of believing my body had betrayed me, when really it had been betrayed by the people who claimed to love me. I photographed every page. I emailed them to myself, to Sarah, to a lawyer Sarah's mom knew who specialized in medical malpractice and family law. Then I waited. They came home Sunday night. I was sitting in the living room when they walked in, suitcases still in hand. My father saw me first. His face did something complicated. Surprise. Then anger, then fear. "Claire," my mother breathed. "How did you get in?" I held up the diary. Same way Lauren got into Uncle Paul's prednisone. Curiosity. Lauren went white. Actually white, like someone had bleached her skin. My mother reached for her as if to comfort her, not me. "You were 10, I said. My voice didn't even shake. Old enough to read the warning label. Old enough to know pills aren't candy. Old enough to watch me stop breathing properly and decide your recital was more important." My father tried the reasonable tone he used with difficult clients. "It was an accident. A childish mistake. We handled it quietly to protect everyone. You protected her. I corrected. You let me believe I was defective. You let doctors pump me full of immunosuppressants that almost killed me because the truth was inconvenient. You taught me my pain was my fault. Lauren was crying, but silently, the way beautiful people cry in movies. I was jealous, she whispered. I was scared if you were perfect too there wouldn't be room for me. I didn't know it willed. Her voice broke. I didn't know it would take everything. My mother finally looked at me. Really looked. What do you want, Claire? Everything you tried to take. Half the estate, medical trust in my name only, written apology, public if necessary, and Lauren participates in a restorative justice program. I found one that works with juvenile offenders even years later. She tells her story so other kids know jealousy can kill. My father started to bluster about lawsuits and reputation. I cut him off. I have the diary, the medical records, Uncle Paul's prescription records, and a lawyer who's eager to file. Your choice. They chose capitulation. Quickly. The money came through 6 weeks later. I bought a small loft with ramps and wide doorways and windows that flood the rooms with light. I started the Whitlock Foundation. Support for chronically ill teens whose families treat them like broken appliances. We meet every Thursday night in a donated church basement. There are beanbags, colored pencils, noise-canceling headphones, and a strict rule. No one has to smile if they don't want to. The first meeting there were 5 of us. Now there are 42. We have a private Discord that never sleeps. We have college scholarship funds, emergency hotel vouchers, lawyers on retainer. We have a mural on one whole wall covered in birds breaking out of jars, painted by a 17-year-old boy who hasn't spoken aloud in 2 years but types faster than anyone I've ever met. Lauren sends a check every month, anonymous except for the memo line that always reads the same. For the ones we failed. I cash it. I need the reminder. Some nights I still wake up screaming from dreams where I can run. Some mornings I still can't get out of bed. The disease didn't magically disappear just because the truth came out. But the difference is this: I no longer wake up wondering why they hate me. I know why. And knowing means I get to decide what the rest of my life looks like. Last week a new girl came to group. 16, newly diagnosed with lupus. Parents telling her she's doing it for attention. She sat in the corner picking at her cuticles until I handed her a sketchbook. She drew a girl made of cracked porcelain, but the cracks were filled with gold. At the end of the night she looked up and said, I thought I was the only one. I told her what someone should have told me years ago. You're not the only one. You're not too much. You're not a burden. You are the whole damn point. And for the first time in my life, I believed it about myself too.